Hey everybody, welcome to Essentials Week 2, where we are going to unpack verbs. Week 2 is verb overview. Okay, so this can be pretty overwhelming if you're a first tour student or family, but trust the process. I wore a t-shirt that says show hope, and those of you that are second, third, fourth year families, even longer than that, show hope to your first tour students. Let your kids show their enthusiasm in classes, their light bulbs go off this second or third or fourth year, because this is great information and you really can do it. So let's start out looking in our guide at week 2 definitions box. The definitions box is where I tell all my families that's where we're going to draw from for review games. So make sure that you know the definitions box of that week and any weeks prior, and you'll be in a good place for review. So this definition we've already talked about in week 1 because I got ahead, and that's parts of speech because it was in chart A. So the parts of speech, we're using body parts because you can use a hand in lots of different ways, right? Just like you can use a noun in lots of different ways. So nouns, pronouns, verbs, this is where we are today, adverbs, conjunctions, interjection, prepositions, adjectives, and they describe. Ready? Nouns, pronouns, verbs, adverbs, conjunctions, interjections, prepositions, adjectives. Awesome. A verb, repeat after me. A verb is a word that asserts an action. A verb is a word that asserts an action, shows a state of being. I'm just being happy. Show me that you're being happy. Okay? Shows a state of being, links two words together, or helps another verb. Let's do it again. A verb is a word that asserts an action, shows a state of being, links two words together, or helps another verb. I tend to use these for linking and these for helping anytime I'm talking in the classroom, because if kids aren't quite comprehending the context of those definitions on their own, they can get the answer very easily by seeing my hand motion while I'm speaking, and eventually it'll sink in and become something that they understand. So we're going to look at charts C and D together, because this is going to give you a great overview. Now, no, you're going to be doing this week by week by week by week. Today, we're just giving you a big flash of all of it. So there's 4 verb types. I have them listed here: VI, VT, VL, VH. VI stands for verb intransitive. Kind of like home plate, you're safe. There's no more action, okay? So if Sadie sings, there's nothing else. She's just singing. She's not transferring that action to something specific. If Sadie sings songs, then it's verb transitive, and it's taking the singing and putting it into the songs. A great way to show kids the difference in this is with your hand. Okay, I eat. I'm just eating. That would be verb intransitive. But if I have a blueberry pie right here, you better believe it. I eat the pie. Now my eating is on something specific. I eat the pie. She eats sushi. He eats pizza. Okay? Somehow we always bring food into our afternoon class on CC days. Verb linking links verbs. So use the equal sign. I have an example here. Charlie is the champion. We're going to Charlie on this side, champion on this side. The linking verb is in the middle. It's like the equal sign because you can say Charlie is the champion, or you can flip it. The champion is Charlie. Right? Same thing if I said, I am the tutor. And then you flip it. The tutor, would you say am I? The tutor is I. It is I. Yeah, you would say it is I. The tutor is I. So instead of the first person, let me help that make a little more sense with the different. Mrs. Shroyer is the tutor. Flip. The tutor is Mrs. Shroyer. Okay? So you can do that with lots of things. Play with it. You know, come up with what your kids like to do. Put it and flip it so that they know. If I said Sadie is the baker is Sadie. Sadie is the slime maker extraordinaire. The slime maker extraordinaire is Sadie. Okay, so have fun with that. Now, another way that they can show as linking verbs would be if I said the apple is red. If I can take red and put it in front of apple, red apple, because I'm showing a state of being. Okay, the apple is red. The red apple is. It just is. It's not doing anything, it just is. But it's described as red. So you'll learn that more later. All right, verb helping. The reason why I have two lines right there is when you diagram them, the helping verb insists on staying next to the verb that it's helping. Because you know how I did this? This helping verb cannot wait to jump in and give this the right context. For example, Charlie did win. Okay? What if the race hadn't happened yet? Then the helping verb would be like, Will, okay, standing off to the sidelines going, oh, that sentence is wrong. I need to jump in and help make it right because the race hasn't happened yet. Then it jumps in and says, Charlie will win. And this helping verb is very satisfied, okay? So when helping verbs come in, they don't want to give up that spot. So when you diagram them, I like to personify things, by the way, in case you didn't notice. But when you diagram them, they stay next to the verb that they're helping because they are helping that verb. Okay, so let's pull out a few other words. Charlie did win. What if I said Charlie can win? Charlie should win. Charlie must win. Do you see how it changes? If the whole team is relying on this one race, it's the last one, and they want like an overall score trophy, and Charlie must win, okay, that's a big deal. So you need the right helper to make that communicate to the reader. All right, let's keep going. There's a way to memorize these lists through song, and it's very easy. We're going to dash through the snow a little bit with our linking verbs, okay? A linking verb makes an assertion by joining two words. Feel, become, remain, taste, seem, appear, look, sound, stay, smell, grow, be. These are our linking verbs. Now, I have a circle around be. Be can be verb linking or verb helping. When you see be in the linking verb list, it usually shows up as am, are, is, was, or were. If I had a purple pen, I would make these purple because they can be red or blue. Okay? Don't let it fool you. You're not going to see be in a linking sentence. You're going to see is a lot. So a lot of times people say, why isn't is in the song? Well, it's not in that list, but it is in the list because it's part of the be, the forms of to be. Okay, we'll go over that more in class as we go. Just know that, okay? The song for helping verbs, Jesus is a great helper. He's the greatest helper. So we're going to do Jesus Loves Me. Do, does, did, has, have, had, am, are, is, was, were, being, been, may, must, might, should, could, would, shall, will, can. These are our helping verbs, okay? So there you go. And again, there's a lot in the to be form that you'll use a lot. Now, I want to show you how linking verbs can be just a fancy is. If I smelled a rose and I said, the rose smells sweet, it's just a fancy way of saying the rose is sweet, but the reader knows from that one sentence that I have smelled the rose and I'm talking about its fragrance. But the rose doesn't have a nose. So the rose isn't smelling anything. The rose smells lasagna cooking. I mean, that's not possible. Roses don't have noses. Okay, so the rose smells sweet. I'm the one smelling. And the rose's fragrance is what I'm smelling. All right, how about if I looked at the rose and I said, the rose looks sweet. Is the rose looking at anything? No. A rose does not have eyeballs. So I'm looking at the rose. It's just a fancier is. It gives the reader more context instead of just saying the rose is sweet. Now you know I've smelled it and I've looked at it and I think it's beautiful. What if I said tasted? Because I just went to a fancy restaurant and they put rose petals on my salad and it was delicious. And I said, oh, the rose tastes sweet. Roses do not have taste buds. So the rose is not doing the tasting. So in this case, taste is just a fancy is. Okay, so you can have a lot of fun with that list with your children. Okay, I think we're getting somewhere. Let's go to the rest of chart C. Verbs have attributes, and we're going to attribute some things to them to make them make sense in a sentence. First of all, you can have person, number, voice, or mood. All right, let's do that together again. Person, number, voice, mood. When I say person, if I am speaking in first person, then I'm in the form of I and we, and you know that I'm talking about something that we or I am enjoying and doing. You want the verbs to match the context of first person. Okay, second person, you. This can be an instructional guide. It can be a critique. If you're doing a book report, but you put a critique in it, you're talking to your reader. Okay, there has to be a second person there that you're speaking to, right? And then the third person is most of your stories that you're going to work with this year, either a research paper or a story about Rapunzel, or something. If you're talking about someone or something and telling a story, then you're telling someone a story about a third person. Does that make sense? So you'll notice that as you go throughout the year. Do you want to make sure your verbs attribute the proper context? Number is singular or plural. We know we can have one apple or more than one apple, singular, plural. Well, verbs have singular and plural as well. So you want to say, okay, I cook or I cooks. Which one is right? Do I cooks the food? That sounds like toddler talk. Do I eats the pizza? No. We learn naturally because we're communicating the English language. We've been speaking it for a long time. Toddlers mess this up a lot and we think it's so cute. Then it's not cute anymore. So when you write, you want to make sure that singular and plural in your verb matches the singular and plural of the noun. Does that make sense? So the girls eat, the girl eats. You wouldn't say the girls eats, right? But you can have a lot of fun with that, doing it wrong, having your kids correct it. It's very fun. Voice, let's take voice and we're going to take wind, this big wind tunnel. So the wind, what is the wind doing? The wind swept over the house of cards, okay? Or the wind, we'll say demolished. The wind demolished the house of cards. Now, what if I said the house of cards was demolished by the wind? Do you hear the difference? One is really active. One is kind of like you're the investigator and you've showed up after the catastrophe and you're trying to figure out what happened. Let me do it again. The wind demolished the house of cards. The house of cards was demolished by the wind. And now we're checking it out. So it's fun to make sentences that are active and passive, and you'll do that in later lessons. And then mood. So mood, you can have indicative, which is making a declarative or an interrogative statement or question. So if I said, we're having a great lesson review. Do you believe that we are learning together today? That's just indicative. I'm asking a question, I'm making a statement. Imperative states a command. Love the Lord your God. Be kind one to another. Forgive one another, just as in Christ God forgave you. Those are imperatives, and they're stating a command. And they have that mood attached. Oh, subjunctive. Everybody say, oh, you're sighing. It's subjunctive. So if you're sighing, I wish, if only. Those are really fun for the kids to come up with. Tell them to make a list of what they wish, or, oh, if only I didn't have to clean my room. I wish I could eat all of the chocolate and candy I want. Those are great subjunctive sentences. Now, this last box is really exciting, but it looks really intimidating. So there's 12 verb tenses, and present tense, past tense, future tense. Check this out. They use the verb play. We're going to use cook. I cook, I cooked, I will cook. Present, past, and future. Those are simple. If nothing else, you can play with that first line. Take regular verbs like cook, baked, sing, whatever you want. And you're just going to put them in that pattern, make up sentences so that your kids know past, present, and future. Present, past, and future. Now look at this perfect. Perfect has the correct form of to have, which just means it's going to use has, have, or had. So has or have is going to be in the present, and had is going to be in the past. So check this out. I have cooked. Okay, we're putting the verb in the past participle. A past participle is a verb plus ed. Okay, so I have cooked. Okay, I'm sorry, that's I have. You're looking to have, had, or will have. So I have cooked. I had cooked. I will have cooked. And you can do that with lots. I have baked. I had baked. I will have baked. Now progressive. Everybody do this. Here you have a to be. Remember, to be's are am, are, is, was, were. So we're going to use those to put in the to be form. And then a present participle is a verb plus ing. A present participle is a verb plus ing. A present participle is a verb plus ing. All right, so that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to say I am playing. I was playing. I will be playing. I am cooking. I was cooking. I will be cooking. I am talking. I was talking. I will be talking. Okay, you can do that with lots of them. This perfect progressive has to have, so it's going to have one of these, present, past, or future, and it's going to have been. This is the only one that's going to have been, and then it's going to stay in the present participles. That means you can have ing. So check this out. Here we go. I have been talking. I had been talking. I will have been talking. Now, when you look at this, and you just look at the paper, you're going to go, oh, this is hard, and we don't ever use this. But let me tell you, we do. I'm going to prove it. I've been filming. So I have been filming. I had been filming this video 6 times before I got it right because my phone kept dying. Future, I will have been filming for over an hour and a half by the time I get this done. Do you see how I'm actually using it? So just start with one line and come up with useful sentences that make sense. And by the time, when the light bulbs go off, move to the next one. But this is really important. And we're going to live in the land and the life of verbs for a long time this year, throughout the year. Now, verb principal parts. Everybody go, pa, 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 pa. Principal parts. Okay? Now, the reason why I have you do that is because principal parts, if you use that as your memory hook, then that's the one where we're going to say infinitive. So this is where you start with a, to sing or to bake or to rise or to talk, to fly. Your infinitive is like what you start with. That's what's going to take off. Okay? To infinitive, to infinity and beyond. All right? Then, so the present of talk would be talk, talks. The reason why there's 2 in the present, talk, talks, is because one is singular and one is plural. That's a big aha for some 2nd and 3rd year families. I'll tell you what. Past would be talked. Present participle, right? Present participle has the ing. Present participle, talking. Past participle is going to have ed at the end, or if it's irregular, it might end in t or en, right? So talking or talked. So let's do it again. Infinitive, present, past, present participle, past participle. To talk, talk, talks, talked, talking, talked. Now, if it's irregular, like on this list, let's look at to rise, because it doesn't end in ed on the end. Ready? Here we go. To rise. Rise, rises, rose, rising, risen. So if you do this pattern, it's going to come in handy later, because you're going to know later when you need to choose a present or a past participle, you will know what that means. Okay? So let's do 2 more. 2 more. So to lay is like if you're going to lay an egg or lay something down. To lie is if you're going to lie down and rest. So let's do to lie, because I love it when my students, and especially my own children, get this one right. To lie. Lie, lies. Lay, lying. lain. The dog had been lain in the shade for 5 hours. Okay, so forget. Let's do that one. To forget. Forget, forgets. Forgot, forgetting, forgotten. I hope that you do not forget this, but that you'll come back to it until it becomes familiar, because you can win and you will win at this with practice and consistency. Thank you for joining week 2 Essentials Overview, and meet me next time. Thanks.